Hello, welcome to Laura's Painted Minis. I am Laura, and today we're going to work on some dragon legs. Which I just realized I did not update the title. So let me get that fixed here real quick. There we go. I'll probably have to fix that later when I actually upload it. Because even though I'm changing it in Twitch, it has a tendency to not actually remember it later on. But that's okay. Hopefully you can hear me a little better. I am a little bit more rested than I was. Not quite so burnt out. I was really burnt out after the weekend. It was fun stuff between Easter and um, between Easter and my birthday, but also really draining because there's just a lot of changes. Some things also just not going as expected. So yeah. So I've just got the claws on this guy to do on this leg, I should say. And then we'll get that other leg, which if you were here at the beginning, you would have seen them paired, just sitting there together, hanging out. It's been really stormy here, which is, I mean, it's good because it's been so dry. Like it seemed like every day that was windy, we would have like I think they're called like red flag warnings or something like that. Basically, elevated fire danger, which, in Iowa is kind of a weird thing um, to have happening a lot. It's usually something that's just like, at the beginning of spring or something before the snow's really melted all the way off. We can't get this a little better. Focus. It like almost gets there. Oh well. But how are you all? Do you guys have any good weather to enjoy? or bad weather to give you an excuse to stay inside. Do some painting. I got my shipping notice, I think it was just yesterday, for my caves from Archon, or Dungeons and Lasers, whichever name you are familiar with. That's so that's exciting. Looks like they're using UPS this time, or at least I've seen myself and others who have gotten notices that it's UPS that's being used instead of FedEx. So I know I'm kind of a fan of that. I feel like I don't know. I just had like a package the other day, actually, the other week, that was going through FedEx, and I don't really know why. Because it was all part of one order from Chewy, and for some reason, it didn't come with all the other Chewy stuff, and also didn't get the address, the full address, passed over with that either. So there was a complication. Thankfully, I was able to get it, but it's just kind of annoying. And as per usual with FedEx, the box was in terrible condition. It was it's called a tunnel bed for the cats. So it's basically like it sounds, where it's a tunnel that has openings on either side for them to climb into. And then there's in the middle there's an actual bed, so they can basically hop over or jump over, climb over the tunnel part. I don't think I've seen them use it yet, which that's also because we put it underneath our coffee table, so I don't know if there's actually enough room for them to get to it. I mean, like, I think they could if they tried. I've seen them squeeze through much tighter spaces. I just don't know if they have the desire to try and get to it. Okay. That's looking pretty good. That final claw is gonna be quite a bit under shadow, so I'm not gonna do anything else to that until I actually get it on until I actually assemble the dragon, and then I'll kind of look around, see if there's any highlights or shadows that I need to kind of tweak just a little bit. I shouldn't have to do too much. I've been kind of dry fitting as I go just to double check and remind myself. Just taking this other one off of the base since it's pretty much done. And that way I don't keep knocking it over and put it into the done pile. Speaking of dry fitting, so this guy goes right there. So it's kind of going to be pretty much quite a bit like, maybe like this. Because this is one where it goes into the base kind of at an angle a little bit. So I probably will paint it so that it's like that's the way the light is going to hit it. It's from here like that, if that makes sense. I already got some of the paint mixed up. Show you, these are some mixes I've got for the scales. And the webbings or whatever they're called. I don't know the technical name is for these. But I've got, so it's all base coated in blue liner. I was really kind of going for like I'm going for a dark dragon essentially, but I didn't want to do just a plain black dragon. So I played around with the head, painting different things, using different mixes, and settled on what I've been doing, obviously. So that's right here is a mixture of the blue liner with mountain stone. I'm leaving a little bit of that blue liner base coat in, although some areas definitely got missed. So I'm just also filling in those areas. But some of that also is where it is just going to be matched up anyway, so it's probably not all that important. But yeah, then from here, I'll go up to where it's actually jungle moss. I think that might be a gem right there. Jungle moss was just a touch of the mountain stone. Started dipping into that. And then from the jungle moss, it's shield brown with a little bit of jungle moss up to brinewind brown. So you get some like blues, greens, and browns there in the mix. But I still keep it pretty dark, as you saw on that leg that we just finished. I'm glad they released the High Seas fast palettes and to buy the paints individually now, because Brinewind Brown is one of those. It's in one of those. I think it's on the regular High Seas rather than the High Seas Horror. This is all gonna be probably in shadow quite a bit. Might even be covered up by the base even. So we might not even see some of this. So that's why I'm just kind of stippling it on. Probably won't do a ton of work on that side. I might do one more, the next mix up, and then that'll probably be it, just to so that there are shadows there if any of it, or I mean somewhat highlighted is what I meant, just in case any of it does show, but it still would be in shadow even if it is showing. Pay more attention when I'm around these gemstones because they've got some scales like in between. Not a terribly, not like terribly big deal, but oh. So this weekend is finally the weekend that I will be running the first session of a campaign. It'll be the first campaign that'll be the DM for. I've mainly just done one shots before this. So that'll be fun. And I do like the idea of allowing players to have the option to use their any inspiration that they receive from me to use it to pull from the Boons and Bane deck that I have. That's yeah, Boons and Banes by Ginny D. Got that for Easter. And I'm gonna look through it and see if there's any that just like will not make sense whatsoever for my characters. Like I know I started looking through it just a tiny bit, just kind of for fun. And none of my characters really have magic. They ended up all choosing melee classes, pretty much. One of them is a monk, so I mean, they could be magic-y. But there's a Bane that's like, you're allergic to magic. So I'm not sure that would really be like all that fun. I guess there is like a part of it where it's also magic cast on you is also affected. So I guess could still be somewhat of a bane, just might not be something that they see as important to get rid of or deal with right away. Of course, then that I can always, as GM, I can always create ways. So, or give them incentive to get rid of it. So there's that. I appreciate that with it, like in there's a little guidebook that comes with it. So it's in that guidebook that it has like side quests kind of things that can be inspired. Especially for the Banes, because, you know, those are things you don't want to keep. So, ideas for side quests to give to the players, so to basically to get rid of those. But yeah, otherwise I'll just have the Boons and Banes completely mixed together. And then they can choose. It's totally their choice if they want to take the risk and use their inspiration on that, or just use it for the regular stuff of rolling, getting advantage on a roll. I think that sounds like a fun little option. And if it seems to go over well with players, with my players here, maybe it's something I'll incorporate into like my one-shots. We'll see. That one would be a little bit more difficult because wouldn't be a campaign, so you're trying to tie it up. It would basically, they'd have the bang probably that whole session, really is really what that means, because there just wouldn't be. Unless I like have Banes specifically picked out, I guess. And then I'm just prepared to add that in and tweak some things. But I feel like most of the time I'm having to like get rid of things. So the idea of having something added, like a whole nother encounter added because of that, doesn't seem very realistic for one shot, other than just like they're just stuck with the boon, or I mean the bane, for the one shot, if that's what they draw. First, we'll just see how this goes with my players. Let's see, I guess there's not a ton on the back of this that's probably going to be seen, nor is there very much sculpted on the back of this little wing. Like most of it is going to be sitting right up against the sculpt, the body of the dragon. So yeah, guess it doesn't matter that I had forgotten about it with the previous color. I'm gonna start holding it so I remember a little bit of the angle that it'll probably be in. Do any of you have some fun stuff going on this weekend? I plan to get some flowers planted that I'd gotten last weekend. That I've been looking at the forecast and keeping an eye on like just the lows and whatnot. And there doesn't seem to be any freezes happening, so it's usually a good sign that we're at least that it's unlikely that we'll have any more freezing temperatures or close to freezing. There's always the chance that there could be a late frost, but usually pretty low chance. Well, when I finish this leg, all the legs will be done. So then I will, my plan is to do the main part of the body next. Probably won't get to that on this stream. because I've still got quite a bit more work to do since I only just started painting this leg. See the spot that did not get paint. Seems maybe it's just the light. this is mostly Brinewind Brown, which is going to be probably the last highlight I get to. On the other ones, for the areas where they're getting hit directly with light, which I may not do that on this leg in particular, just because I don't know. It's going to be the hind leg, and the wings are pretty big. The main body itself is just really big. So I don't know if if these hind legs will actually get hit too directly. But we'll at least go up to Brinewind Brown. But yeah, I just do like about a 50-50 almost of Brinewind Brown and pure white to do an even higher highlight. I'll do a wash of the blue liner as well, just to make sure it still kind of leans more towards that really dark side of things and almost black. guess here and there a bit. I think we have enough time to do a quick wash on it. And then I'll still probably go back in on those areas that were highlighted, should be highlighted. Especially if I get too heavy of a glaze, then I'll might just only do it in some parts because I haven't brought it up too bright just yet. Since I didn't go all the way up to that next step up with the Brinewind Brown mixed with pure white. So I'm just going to do it up on this wing. And I'm going to do it pretty heavily in the shadows in here just to kind of really give a bit more contrast. It's not going to erase what I did. But I mean, it is in the shadows, so there's not much you would have seen anyway. And like I said earlier, some of this is probably just gonna be completely covered or blocked, because this is actually gonna be going into. We got this part going into the integral base, and then this part going into the body. So quite a bit of this inner leg is going to be just completely blocked from other parts of the sculpt. also just going ahead and going back over the gems that I accidentally maybe got some paint on. It'll help me later when I'm coming back to do the gems so that they kind of stick out a bit more. Just really light, try and do just light touch on these guys up here. I'll still come back, like I said, to do with that Brinewind Brown. Still hit it again with the highlight, just so that we don't lose that nice contrast. It also just helps bring in that interesting kind of blue, dark blue in again, and kind of make it kind of more interesting, weird. That's probably all we'll do, get done for today. We got the other leg finished up and got this one, at least the scales and whatnot on this one, pretty much done, other than maybe one more highlight. Just to bring those highlights back up after the glaze that I just did. Then we'll just need to do the gems. We've got these little horns and claws. And then all the legs will be done. So thanks for hanging out. Hope y'all have a fun weekend, whether it be stormy or not. So I know I'm gonna have a fun time, and I'm sure on Monday I'll be telling you all about all the shenanigans that players were up to. And then, so Monday, we'll be back to the new mini that I started Monday. It's the last mini from the Deuce Slayer sample pack that was in the Dungeons and Lasers Encounters campaign. So yeah, I ended up getting some time to kind of really fine-tune some of the skin after the stream, and as well as kind of did the hair and a little bit on the eyes. So I think I determined that I probably will do this green next, because that will affect a bit of what direction I go with the armor specifically. I'll probably do the weapon just like go with just like a plain silver, but the armor, we'll see if I keep it. See if I keep it dark or if I'll go lighter. Depends on the green and how that turns out. But anyway, hope y'all have a good weekend. I'll see you Monday. Bye.